Wires tangled loose and frayed, screens glued in the hook once stayed. Code whisper secrets deep in the night. Tech warriors battle the fading light. Carry and dug with the wisdom they bring. Sparks fly sharp like a pendulum swing. Through the noise, the truth they find. Fixing the world one bite at a time. Hum low, circuit screen pain. Motherboards cracked, it's a tech domain. Challenges rise like ghosts in the air, but they've got answers, they're fully aware. Carry and dug with the wisdom they bring. Sparks fly sharp like a pendulum swing. Through the noise, the truth they find. Fixing the world one bite at a time. Carry and dug with the wisdom they bring. Sparks fly sharp like a pendulum swing. Through the noise, the truth they find. Fixing the world one bite at a time.
I love that intro. It cracks me up every time. Welcome in, everybody, to today's latest live broadcast. It's the 15th of July, 2026. It's Wednesday. My name is Carey Holzman. And before I bring on our guest, I want to quickly remind you, our friends over at VIP-URCDKEys, they offer legitimate Windows license keys for Microsoft Windows and Microsoft Office at a strongly discounted price. And if you're not familiar with how the process works, I'm going to play a little video here. That's an example of how you will find and use the deal. So let's see if this works the way I think it will. There it is. So like, here's a video from a couple months ago. And in that first box right there, you click the More button. And underneath that is what we call our video description. And under that are all of the links that we talk about in the video, including those for VIP-URCDKEys. And there you'll see Windows 11 Pro, Home, Windows 10 Pro, Office, etc. Now you can just go directly to the site yourself. These aren't paid commission links, but if you want to search for this stuff, knock yourself out. The links just save you time to get you right to the product you're looking for. When I go to purchase that product, it needs me to sign in. And it needs me to sign in so it has a place to send my receipt and to send my private product key. And it's free to create the account, and it'll keep a record of your purchase indefinitely. If you ever need that information in the future, you won't need to contact support. If you want to save even more money, right there, I put my name, Carey, under the promotion code, and the price just dropped 25%. Again, it's not a commission-based link, so it doesn't help me for you to use that code. It helps you. And you choose whatever form of payment, how you want to make your payment, and depending on which choice you make, you go through the on-screen steps, and within about 2 minutes, day or night, holiday or weekend, doesn't matter, 365 days a year, within about 2 minutes, you're going to get an email, and it's going to confirm that you paid for that product, along with a download link if you should need it to download the product, and then, of course, your activation key. They have 24/7 support and will support you for up to 6 months. That's all built into the price. Pretty much nobody does this because there's not enough money at these low prices for most companies to pay support, or they just want to keep the extra money. They don't want to spend it on support. I need that for my business. I need to be competitive with Dell and HP. I can't pay Windows retail or Microsoft retail for their licenses. I would not be a competitive player in the PC marketplace if I did that. Normally, folks in my line of work in any line of work would not share with you where they're buying their products they're reselling to you. That doesn't make any sense for a business owner to do that. But I'm a business owner that goes against the grain, and I want to help you guys out. And I'm more than happy to show you where I'm buying the products. I'm doing it the same way. I use that link. I use my name, as silly as that sounds, and I pay the same price you pay. So just if you're wondering, I put that out there for you. Again, it's not commission based. So if you want to use it to save some money and know you're not going to get scammed, I've already done the work for you, and the rest is up to you. And if you have any problems, like I say, they have 24/7 support. If for any reason that does not solve your problem, you reach out to me personally as if I'm the one who sold it. That's how strongly I stand behind them, okay? Now, let's get to it today. One of my favorite people to have on the show. Of course, anytime we can bring other industry professionals on, especially when they have YouTube channels, so they're very similar to what I'm doing, but in their own way, just as I do mine in my way. As technicians, one of the things that I really am drawn to is the uniqueness that I get to pick how I want to solve a problem. It may not be better. It may not be worse. It may not be faster. It may not be slower. However we choose to meet the demands of our customer is up to us. And so, we each have our own, let's call it upbringing into this industry that is completely unrelated. Doug and I did not know each other back in those early days, and the techniques we learned. Well, personally, I love sharing those perspectives and providing, not only providing my perspective, but also listening to other people's perspectives and how they do it. And while I may not necessarily embrace that and make it my own, I respect it. So that's why we have that funny little boxing videos. We'll go back and forth over, 6 different ways to do something. And I like to do it this way, and he likes to do it another way. And at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is, of course, that your customer's happy and you feel pretty good about the job you did, that you're not thinking to yourself, oh gosh, I should have done that differently, and looking for improvement. That being said, and without any further delay, please welcome back to the show from Live Windows Training with Doug Betts YouTube channel, the man himself, Doug Betts.
Hello.
How's that for an intro?
That's great. I think we're going to have a little bit of audio issues, and I was not able to send the stream to my channel.
Oh, you weren't? I mean, I'm seeing you twice here in the studio for some reason.
I'm hearing you're seeing me twice?
I see. So when you have StreamYard and you have folks in your connected, I see you 2 times underneath. Like, I can bring you on again. Watch this. There, I can bring you on twice. So you're showing up as 2 sources on my side, which means you may be connected 2 times.
Yeah.
Or you added, I don't know how you did that. It's no big deal. It's just using up some bandwidth. I mean, your picture looks great. You sound good. Now, for people who may be joining us for the very first time, would you mind explaining who you are and what you do?
Yeah, I'm Doug Betts. I'm self-employed, making a good living wage since 1992. It's my own business. A few years before that, working for other businesses. This thing's just crazy. I'm hearing myself a little bit delayed. And I service mostly small businesses. It's very busy. It's very fun. I love the work. Love the mental stimulation. Every day is a new adventure, never the same. And I have my own YouTube broadcast on my channel, which I had set it up for today, but it's not working, and I need to let my chat room know that that they need to come over and watch on Carey's channel, which is a good thing anyway. And that about takes care of it. This is my studio and my office and my lab. That's Big Beast build that Carey built on his show a few years ago. It's 2 computers in one, not 4, 2 computers in one. 2 motherboards, 2 power supplies, and multiple drives, and so on. Yeah, okay. I ran out of stuff to say for right now.
I'm checking. First of all, someone says I look backwards, but I'm looking at it, and this looks right to me. So I'm a little confused. I should be seeing, in theory, I should be seeing what everybody else is seeing, but
Well, I'm seeing you backwards because the Minis forum box, the writing is backwards. Now
it is backwards.
Oh, you just held back.
No. I'm saying I'm asking. It is backwards for you because it's.
I'm reading it backwards.
Okay, so that tells me I have a StreamYard setting that I need to adjust, or I can adjust it in OBS. I can just adjust it in OBS. That'll be quick.
That was both StreamYard and YouTube.
So so when I'm looking at StreamYard, it looks right to me. This is a little bit confusing why StreamYard would even allow that, but I won't be using StreamYard much longer. But what I can do, I can flip my screen horizontally, and that should just go ahead and correct that. Does that look right?
Yes.
What's interesting is it actually spells minis forum the same way. Like for me, I don't know how that works. When I flip it the other way, it still says minis forum the right way. I don't know, but we'll work with that. Thank you guys in the chat room for making me aware of it. I know it's not an OBS issue. It's a StreamYard setting somewhere. There's a box.
Zoom does the same thing where you can show it backwards for yourself, and that doesn't affect the way the other people see it.
Maybe if I turn StreamYard on to mirror my camera, it flips it the other way, right?
Yep.
And then if I go back to OBS and tell it to keep it the right way, so the way that I originally had it, that's probably where I want to make the change, because at that point, when I go live using OBS without StreamYard, everything will be the other way around. So everything looks good. Does it look like I've got everything in the right place?
Checking. No, it's backwards on YouTube and StreamYard.
It's still backwards?
Yep. Backwards.
Fascinating. That is fascinating, because I told OBS to mirror my camera. And I guess I'll just put it back the way I had it. Let's go this way. So right now, is it right side? Or didn't make any change?
That did not change at all.
Oh, so it's only changing it for me and nobody else.
In StreamYard,
That's
yeah.
Fascinating. Okay. Okay. I'll just change it in OBS and we'll get on with the show. There's a lot of things I want to talk to you about today, Doug.
Okay. We got to get off the technical stuff, huh?
Well, you know, once I get StreamYard figured out, I'm not going to use it anymore. So it's kind of a pointless exercise to try and fix it. I mean, I'll fix it for today's show, and then I need to put it all back the way it was. Sure. You know, there is an alternative. Where are you? Where am I? Here we go. There is an alternative to this, and it's called Video Ninja. Have you heard of it?
I don't think so.
So video.ninja is the website you can go to, and it is a free alternative. It's open source, completely free, to StreamYard, where you can bring on live guests to your show. It's a little more, you got to kind of resize Windows yourself and set it up yourself. But basically, the way that it works, if I bring up, I should be able to bring up a website here. We go to video.ninja. And I should be able to use OBS to share the screen. And again, please let me know if the screen is backwards. Let's see if that's going to work. First of all, does that bring up my screen? Let's try that. Okay. And then let me go. Oh, I guess I can't go back to StreamYard now if I do it this way, can I? This is my struggle with StreamYard, by the way. It's difficult for me to see StreamYard and also see the web pages I want to display, which is not an issue in OBS. But does the screen, is that backwards?
I'm seeing add your camera. I'm not sure if you hear me right now. Do you?
Yeah, I hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm seeing on your YouTube. I see my side on one side, and then I saw a StreamYard screen on your side.
Okay. Well, that's what I was afraid of with StreamYard. It's a little challenging for me to do it this way, but basically, video.ninja is a free service that you can use if you want to bring on. I'm not sure what the number of what the limit is, but you can bring on one guest or you can bring on multiple guests, and then you can resize the windows how you want to frame them on your within OBS. You add the browser as your OBS source, because OBS for scenes has an option called browser, and it'll provide the link for that particular guest. So each guest will have their own link, and the guests themselves would use Video Ninja to log in and to almost like a Zoom session. They just join in online. They don't join in through YouTube or anything, and you're just, it creates all of the technical issue solutions to video and audio feedback, and it's completely free. StreamYard I like because everything's much more polished, but then of course you pay for that. Video Ninja, completely free. So I wanted to mention that as a resource to you if you ever want to bring a guest on. Might be something to consider.
Well, I've done it. When I bring guests on, I'm pretty comfortable doing it with Zoom.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing I wanted to mention is let me check my notes. I know what it is. Yesterday was Patch Tuesday, so Microsoft, releases all these updates to Windows. And oftentimes what ends up happening are people, after they have rebooted the computer, they get this finish setting up your computer screen. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay. And it's annoying. And you're like, I already set up my computer. What's this about? And it wants you to sign into a Microsoft account. And anyway, let me see if I want to challenge this now. Let me see if I can bring a video on through OBS. Let's see if this works. First, I'm going to make myself full screen. This is the technical challenge I have. And the second thing I need to do in OBS is to add a new source, which will be a media source, because I recorded this last night to show people how to resolve it. And I will be adding the solution to my Windows 11 optimizer. I'm having Nick work on it now. And okay, you don't need to wait for it. This is a setting you can easily change yourself.
Carey, while you do that, I'm going to drop out and come right back in, okay?
Yeah, go right ahead. All right, let's see if I can make that full screen. So this is what I'm referring to. This, you're almost done setting up your PC, and that should be on StreamYard right now. Yeah, it is. Okay. And it says, remind me in 3 days or continue down there on the bottom. And this is annoying because first of all, you know what's going to happen if you tell it to remind you in 3 days. And then, if you generally, to get rid of this, you have to just go through it, and it wants to change all your Windows default settings back to, what search engine, Microsoft wants you to use, Bing or whatever, which browser it wants to default it to Edge. Sometimes you'll get to this sign in and it won't let you get past it. And if you click sign in options, you may see offline account. And when you click it, it takes you back to sign in options. You have to do this 4 times. If you get stuck with it, there's no way to close this out. In this example, just last night when I recorded it, I do have a back button. But just so you know, if you don't have the back button, just look for the sign-in options that look for offline account or local account, and it kicks you back to the beginning again. And anyway, to get rid of it, you have to do that 4 times, and then it'll finally let you pass. It's really annoying. So here's how you get rid of it. You go to settings. You're going to go to system. See up there on the left, I'm clicking system. And then you're going to, just a few notches down there is notifications. Click on notifications, go all the way to the bottom. Just let that scroll wheel fly. Right there, it says additional settings. Click that. Then you'll see you suggest ways to get the most out of Windows. Uncheck that box and you will never, ever see that set up your computer thing ever again. It's that easy. So as I mentioned, I sent an email over to Nick over at D7X Tech. He's the one that develops the Windows 11 optimizer. I've asked him if he can add that as an added feature, another option. And then I haven't heard back from him. I'll give him a few days to work on it. And then anybody who already owns the optimizer can just click on update, and it's free for everybody who's already bought it. In the meantime, just like everything else on the optimizer, you can do everything by hand. That's what needs to be done. I spent most of last night logging into every client computer I've got and making sure that that box was unchecked on every one of them. So that's something I wish I would have known last year. But, you know, better late than never. The checkbox is there in Windows 10 as well. So if you have Windows 10 still, you would still go to settings under notifications, and it's listed right there. Just read the screen and you'll see where it talks about getting the most out of Windows. Just uncheck the box. It's the same, basically same solution. And it's just an option that's enabled by default. And listen, when I'm getting a free piece of software and they want to throw advertising at me, I get it. But when I paid for Acronis and Acronis wants to throw marketing in my face, you have to go to File and Settings and turn off the offers. When I pay for Malwarebytes and Malwarebytes keeps popping up offers to discounts or promoting other services, that's annoying. So I go to Settings, and this is, you know, I'm paying for this, right? I go to Settings, I go to their notifications, and I'm like, look, you can alert me or notify me when you've done a scan or if you find something, but I don't want to hear about your latest promotions, and I don't want to hear about ways I can make my PC safer by you selling me more stuff. All of that you can turn off. I want you to be aware of that. Any piece of software that you've paid for that is popping up advertising or promotion, including Windows itself, is usually under the settings preferences, under notifications, depending on the software. And if you get stuck with that, you can always ask Gemini or your favorite AI chatbot. All right. Did you get yourself rebooted, Doug?
Yeah, I think I got my running on my channel now, but on a different URL than what I had configured to show. So just putting my last piece of information to my audience that hopefully will get them over there. Yeah, all right. What happened is when I clicked on your link that you sent by email, I wasn't at that time signed into my StreamYard account, so it didn't offer me the chance to stream to my audience. So I had to drop out, sign into that, and then use your link.
That makes sense.
I was able to do it. But then it created a new stream. It didn't use the stream that I had configured, which I think is the way it's always been. I just didn't remember that.
Yeah, I'm a little rusty on it as well. So very understandable.
Yeah, Domain 2000, John Williams, they both made it to the right
excellent. Welcome
URL,
in, everybody.
My channel.
All right. So another thing I want to mention is a customer of mine recently got bit pretty bad with a virus that installed a remote access Trojan. And it would say Windows is updating, and it would say 2%. It was just a static image where he could see his mouse moving over the static image. He knew something was going on. And that was a real pain in the butt because there was an installation of Screen Connect, but if you looked under installed apps, there was no Screen Connect. If you looked in the startup, there was no Screen Connect. If you looked in the task scheduler, there was no Screen Connect. But if you looked under the Windows services, any remote software has to run as a Windows service. There's no other, well, even RDP. And sure enough, Screen Connect was in there. And of course, you can stop the service, but taking it out requires a little bit of DOS commands. And then once you've done that, there's still a Screen Connect DLL, and the virus attaches the DLL for Screen Connect into your Windows Local Security Authority, the LSA. If you attempt to take that out of the LSA, you will not be able to boot your computer again. It will just blue screen. So the only solution for this is to completely wipe the computer and reinstall it. Malwarebytes was paid and running with a full scan and could not find it. Said there's nothing to be found, which is so aggravating. You have no idea. And that led me to the community recommending a piece of software from tech scammer Kitboga called Seraph Secure. and there's a free version of it, and it will prevent this type of a problem, and you don't have to pay for it. But the paid version is quite interesting in that it can alert you if anybody running it, say you've got a friend or a parent that you're worried about getting suckered in, it can email you when they've triggered one of these things and block it, so you're aware of it, like having a red hotline, it rings the bat phone. But at $4 a month, that's almost $50 a year. So anyway, the free version of that's great, but there's a better way. Well, I don't know if it's better, but there's a way to consider. Doug, have you ever heard of a service called Quad 9?
Yeah, it's, I think I first heard of it on Sunday about 4 days ago. This random YouTube channel Carey Holzman had this guy by the name of Marvin B. They were talking about it. The very next morning, I configured a computer at a client's office with Quad 9 as the primary DNS, and the secondary DNS I did as 888.8.8.8, and then later that same day, you said that was your same choice for your secondary DNS.
Yes.
But no, exactly. I did not know of it before that. So thank you, Mark B.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, you can configure it either for our viewers, not for you, obviously, you know this. You can configure it in the router, so anything connecting automatically does that. But if you have if that's too complicated or you can't get into the router, you can configure it right on each individual PC. And they have an app you can download for your phone or your tablet for Android or iOS, across the board. So that way, if you're traveling around and connecting to random Wi-Fi spots, you can always keep that DNS as a level of free protection. It's hosted and paid for by the Swiss government, and it's updated by the minute. Also, I feel like the Swiss have a pretty good reputation for being neutral, where I feel like if the United States were doing it, they would not let you go to certain sites that weren't along their political lines. So I appreciate that it's being financed. The problem is when we deal with a lot of open source software, it doesn't last very long because the developers get tired of developing it, not making any money. And one example of this is when I went looking for an alternative to Serif Secure, a gentleman said, "Oh, you shouldn't spend money on that. We've created a free alternative called TechScam Block." This was a year ago. And he went on and on about how you shouldn't have to pay for this. It's, you can download ours instead, and ours is free. Well, I just learned about it. When I go to download it, it doesn't exist as a download anymore. And that's the problem when you're getting things for free. Now, if there's a GitHub community, then the problem is how long something takes to get done. But when you're using anything that's free, it needs to have some financing. So at least OBS has contributors financially, like NVIDIA, Elgato. Those companies pay big sums of money to the community, to the organization, to help finance the continual development of OBS. When you're sort of a small independent, you want to do the right thing and you develop this little app, if you don't charge for it, I guarantee you it's a matter of time before you give up, because you're going to get resentful of working for free. That's just the way it is. And everybody who perhaps downloaded TechScam Block may not even be aware it's no longer getting any updates. I don't know, but just be aware the free software, you've got no support, and any updates you get may not be lasting indefinitely. It's just a matter of time. So with the GitHub community, that's a much better strength, but still pretty slow. And with a paid service, you have somebody to talk to for support, and you're also helping pay for the ongoing development of the product. So just FYI. And that's why it upset me so much that Malwarebytes Paid did not catch this virus, because I had a customer, I've had 4 customers over the last 2 years get this exact same Screen Connect type of virus, where it's a service running and Malwarebytes scans it and says, I don't see anything wrong. And my argument is, if I'm paying for Malwarebytes, why can't Malwarebytes just make me aware of what remote services it's finding? When I say scan my computer, why doesn't it summarize that with, oh, by the way, I found these remote services installed. I don't know if they're supposed to be there. I just want you to know they're there. Or why can't Malwarebytes, the paid version, notice when I'm installing a remote service and stop it for a second, like user account control, and say, as you're doing it, say it's a virus and you don't even realize it's happening, it pops up and says, it appears you're attempting to install a remote service. Are you intending to do this? Yes or no? It's such an easy fix. And after 2 years, Malwarebytes doesn't do it, not by default. You can go into some submenus and ask Malwarebytes to scan for any remote services. But quite frankly, I can do that with my eyeballs. Once the service is in, it's too late. Now we're talking about a nuke and pave. We could prevent it from getting installed. And that's the idea behind the paid version of Malwarebytes. So I've got a bone to pick with them, and I made sure I let them know. Have you had any clients affected by anything similar to this recently or within the last year?
Exactly that. Exactly that scenario in the show immediately following when I heard you tell that story. I guess it was my last Saturday show. I told the story, and I told it back in February when it happened to a client of mine. And I have a video of it on my phone. I have a video of the mouse moving around, and I showed that during my show. Now my solution was different than yours, so I did a little hand wavy thing when you said the only way to fix it was nuke and pave. It's not what I did, but it's close enough. And because what I did, I just took an image from one of their other computers. Since I have all the same computers pretty much standardized across most of my client desks, it was an easy thing to I took the subject computer and one of their good computers away at the end of the day. And
isn't that still a nuke and
transfer? Yeah, it accomplishes the same thing. It's just that I don't have to go through installing all the software and doing all the user configurations and the email and yada, yada, yada. It's so much faster.
Oh, yes. So
I'm reluctant to call it a nuke and pave because it doesn't involve all of the extra odds and ends that you have to do with a true nuke and pave.
Well, I would say a nuke and pave, by the way I define it, is we're going to wipe everything out and completely replace it. It doesn't specify how.
Yeah, I mean, you can say it's the same thing, but I'll say that it's not because it's so much quicker to do. So yeah, that's our duking it out. Yeah, I'm gonna. Okay, so shall I duke it out with you about another topic too?
Yes.
I got another one to pick on.
Let's do it.
Quad 9, from my research, not funded by the Swiss government, although they have a very close supportive relationship. So there's a lot of protections that they get because of the Swiss government, and they're not going to respond to orders from other countries to provide information, and they make it easier for them to conceal. But my research says that, which was through Gemini, so take that with a little bit of grain of salt, but it looks like a pretty confident research that says it is sponsorships and donations is where the budget money comes from for it.
Oh,
so
I got my information from the Quad 9 website, but maybe I misinterpreted it.
Well, then maybe Gemini misinterpreted. I don't know, but
Does it matter either way?
No, it's just you know, the type of person that gets into this business. We are a little fussy on the details, okay?
Dot the I,
at least some of us. Yeah. And
it's fair.
And I'm reluctant to have people listen to our shows and turn around and say, well, the Swiss government is doing this or that. Well, no, they're not.
Kinda.
They're supporting. They're giving them a framework that they couldn't find anywhere else, from my understanding. So I just, there's a little, that's the same level of bone to pick as is image re-imaging from an existing computer. Is that really wipe and reload?
Yes.
It's picking at straws, but that is the nature of a technical detailed person in my experience, which my experience has been 100% me.
Is it data or data?
Yes.
Okay, we can agree on that one.
Yes. It is data or data.
Well, for
no
me,
question about it.
Quad 9 is still a relatively new bit of information for me.
Okay,
so
for me,
my excitement is to share that information out from the mild research I did to investigate what it is.
Yeah.
I haven't dug deep into it. I haven't asked Gemini about it. I just want to know who's funding this. How can I trust it? How long has it been around? And by using Quad 9, my hope is that, and again, it's just a hope, that if one of my customers were to click on one of these links that leads to that Screen Connect remote access Trojan, that it won't even let them go to that website. Will it do that? I don't know, but it's free and it doesn't cause any harm, and time will tell. But that's the whole reason I brought it up. Is it's not, if Quad 9 can block a known bad website that Malwarebytes says, I don't see anything wrong with this, and I'm paying for Malwarebytes, but Quad 9 is free, how do they compare? And it's just going to have to let time play out and see what happens. So that's the reason I mention it. And yes, I will. Quad 9 does have a backup DNS server, but I use Cloudflare, so it's easy to remember. I go in and I say my DNS primary is 9999 and my secondary is 8888. I can remember that because Quad 9's backup was like some crazy number. No way I'm remembering that.
So I didn't even look at what Quad 9's backup number is, but what I wondered about that is if the 9999 blocks a site and you have a secondary of 8.8.8, will the computer see that 9s are blocking it and then go check the 8s? Or if 9s block it, does it stop right there? I don't know how that works.
My understanding is if you were to search, let's say you want to go to a website and you type in, CareyHolzman.com and it says not found. When it unresolves for any reason from your primary DNS, then it asks the backup DNS, can you resolve it? But if it resolves and says this is marked as bad, then it's resolved. It did its job. There's the only time the backup, in my understanding, the only time the backup DNS should kick in is if the primary DNS doesn't resolve correctly.
Okay, well, the thing, I'd want to research that a little bit, unless you know this piece further. DNS resolves a domain name to an IP address. I'm not aware that the DNS mechanism queries anything about whether a site is marked as bad or not. So when 9999 what is its mechanism for preventing you from getting to that destination site? Is it just going to not resolve the URL to a IP address? Because how can it, I'm not aware that DNS has a blocking mechanism.
Well, the best way I would explain it is in your phone, you might have a phone book or contacts. And under those contacts, follow me on this, you look for Carey. I want to call Carey. You don't know my phone. Do you know my phone number off the top of your head?
No.
No, nor I yours. But I do have the ability to contact you through using my phone's DNS. Only in this case, it's called a contact list. But if you're a scammer and I don't want to receive your calls and I hit block, now my phone's DNS won't allow your call to come through. When it matches that phone number, it sends you immediately to voicemail. It will not allow your call to ring my phone. So the phone book is DNS. It's just a smaller, but that's exactly the same thing. We're associating a name to a number, and then we're saying if that's safe or blocked. That's what Quad 9 does, is it resolves the DNS into a phone book, and it's in that phone book, which is massive. It's got websites, and if the websites are known to be dangerous or harmful, then you should get a screen that says Quad 9 has blocked you from the site, or the site has been marked as malicious. What else it says, I don't know. I'd have to try it and see what it comes up with. I've got Quad 9 now. If I knew of a bad website, I could show you. Something OpenDNS has been doing for years. I've been recommending OpenDNS for almost 20 years now. And it's been a long time since we've talked about it, or since I've talked about it. And it's this recent infection from a customer who's never been infected before. And my attempts to remove it were unsuccessful initially. And after about 2 days, I got another call that his finance guy called him and said, "Are you trying to transfer $20,000? I said, "Crap, I must have missed something." And that's where I kicked myself for not looking into the installed services for anything that shouldn't be there. So if Instant House Call was installed, Instant House Call has a service. If RDP is working, RDP runs as a service. If Screen Connect is in there, Screen Connect runs as a service. So when I typed in services, it's all listed alphabetically. Son of a gun, there was Screen Connect the whole time. And disabling it does keep the hacker out, but I don't know, because the DLL is still hooked into the local security authority, I don't know what other potential damages that could lead to in the future. But if you wanted a quick fix, just disable the service and even remove the service. But I just don't know if that DLL is infected in such a way that it'll put the service back. And that's why a nuke and pave is required. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, but I was just asking Gemini while you were saying that, because what you're describing there sounds like a plausible way that it might work, but I wasn't going to accept that. So can I share my screen to show you what I've got?
Yes, please.
Results?
Yes.
Okay.
So what I use is typical analogies that may not be technically one-on-one, but I'm trying to get the gist across.
Well, yeah, it's an easy thing to understand how that it may work the way that you described, but that doesn't tell me that that is indeed correct. However, It looks like you were right. So, yeah. So congratulations. So here's my question that I asked: if Quad 9 blocks URL, oops, is that going through okay?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's on me. I have to add it to the stage.
Oh.
How about that?
Okay, yeah. So here's my question: if Quad 9 blocks a URL is bad, and I have a secondary of 8.8, will I be blocked from that site that Quad 9 considers bad, or will 8.8.8 let me get there? In most cases, you will be blocked. Now, why? How? That's what I want to know, because I want to know how it actually works. I'm not really interested in analogy. Don't beat me up over that.
No.
Secondary DNS is for timeouts, not second opinions. Tells here how blocking works. That's really what I wanted. When Quad 9 blocks a malicious site, it doesn't just ignore your request. It actively sends a response back to your device, typically an NX domain, which translates to "this domain does not exist." So it is, it's not actually sending back a message that it's blocked according to this, but it is sending a message it doesn't exist, and therefore the last reaction I'm going to suggest or assume that it says it's not going to try any further. Because your computer or router received a prompt, valid answer from Quad 9, even though the answer was effectively no, it considers the query successfully completed. It accepts the block, will not forward the request to 8.8.8. So I am comforted in this strategy of using that as a secondary.
Dennis in the chat says to test your DNS is actively routing through 9.9.9.9, and it is blocking malicious sites. Just try to visit block.test.on.quad9.net. my understanding is it should be a difference between telling you a site doesn't exist and telling you a site is blocked, because that's how OpenDNS has always worked. And based on my past experience with OpenDNS, I just see Quad 9 as a more robust OpenDNS. That's my opinion on it. You want to try visiting?
Yeah.
I mean, assuming you've got 9.9.
Oh, wait a minute. No, I don't on this computer, but at least I'll demonstrate what happens when I don't have it. Let's see. I tried going there and it looked like you were, the share was set for just that. Yeah, I selected just that window. I chose a Chrome tab, so I need to choose window, or yeah, let's do entire screen. So what was that address again? I don't have that visually available to me.
It is blocked.test.on. Let me know if I'm going too quick.
Go ahead.
.quad9.net.
And I think you need to do something to get my screen on StreamYard,
Yes.
the shared. All right. So did I type that correctly? Do you see what I typed?
I can barely, my screen is really small here.
Okay,
But
I'll just try it. I'll just try it because I should. This site can't be reached. So, and I do not have Quad 9 set up on this computer. So did that really tell me anything? Prove anything about this at all?
I can try it on mine. Let me see.
I'm not sure that demonstrated anything.
Blocked.test.
At all?
I can try it on quad9.net. Yeah, it says refuse to connect. That's what I see. Site
Can you show your screen to the audience?
Can I show my screen to the audience? Well, I am concerned that it's not going to work right, but let me try. Let me try and see what happens here. Let's go here. No, gosh darn it. So my problem is that in order for me to show my screen,
okay, let me fix that. I'll put in Quad 9 on Baby Beast. Oh, wait a minute. No, I can't put that on your show.
StreamYard is a little bit challenging for me. StreamYard wants you to have two monitors, and I don't have two monitors.
All right. Which is curious. Why don't you have two monitors?
I'm a one monitor guy, man.
All right. Let's see. Well, I guess in order to do that, I'm going to have to switch to manual IP on Big Beast while we're on the stream. I don't know.
Jim says, Tech Titans? Okay. Well, you know, whenever you reach a point where you feel like you know everything, you're a jerk. I think when you expose that you weren't born knowing this and you show people how you learn, people should be praising you for being so brave to not be personally humiliated for not knowing something. No one man is an island. And when we're discussing something new, we can make you wait for a year until we get it all isolated out, or we can give you the information today. But I personally find that to be quite the opposite of supporting somebody. You should say, I'm really glad you guys are showing this, and I'm really appreciative that you're willing to show that you don't know everything and how you've learned what you've learned. This is what the process of learning looks like. And unfortunately, we do have a society where people have unfair expectations of others that they themselves cannot live up to. So I would encourage people to really think about the message they're sending when you're talking to other people as to whether or not you're supporting people whose intentions are to help you. Somebody perhaps rescues you out of a lake, then you're drowning, and you say, well, you've obviously never rescued anybody before. I mean, that's very ungrateful. And, you know, instead of saying, you know, you have two choices, you could say, you know what, I just don't want to do this. I don't want to watch it. Or you could say, I really appreciate watching the process. So we hope that our members in the community will be supportive.
Okay, I have a different reaction to Jim's comment.
Okay.
I agree. I'm very uncomfortable with using that name in the title.
Oh, all right. Fair enough. So let me ask you a question. What would you consider to be a tech titan?
I don't mind if somebody else were to call me a tech titan, but have them.
You don't call
that
yourself
title
that.
in my video. No, I don't call myself that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I didn't title it.
That's just.
I didn't call myself.
I presumed that. I suspected that, and I think I would like to declare to the audience that neither of us titled that. I am uncomfortable with it.
And you know what? You could be wrong. You could say, for example,
I
wouldn't call myself smart.
No. You cannot call me wrong when I say I'm uncomfortable with it.
If you're uncomfortable, you're making a choice. Only you, with your own consent, can make yourself feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
Right? But you could choose to be. All I'm saying is, if somebody says you're really smart, and you say no, I'm not, they're not wrong.
I don't do that.
You say yes, I am smart. You're right.
No, I don't do that at all. I will say, oh, thank you. I don't defer it. I don't dissuade it, but I don't call myself that.
I understand. Mara, you titled this. What's up with
it? So, oh my God, it's ridiculous. So, all right. If you don't like Titan, I can call you whatever you like. Just give me a title.
Would you like to change the title?
Would you like me to change the title? I will.
Well, I can change the title on my own. I went ahead and accepted the title on my own channel, and I was squirming when I did that, but I said, okay, let me try to grow out of this, and I don't know if that's going to happen.
You know, we live in a world where people are so quick to put other people down, and if you don't promote yourself, it's pretty rare other people will do it for you. And you'll see our president patting himself on the back all the time. Look at what I did. Because we live in a society where if you don't do that, other people are less likely to promote you than they are to insult you.
All I was doing was giving you guys a compliment. So there you go.
Thank you, Mara.
Never do that again. I hope you learned your lesson.
I received that, and thank you.
I can call you tech newbies.
I don't mind that.
Oh my God.
I would not squirm at that at all.
Oh.
There's a comedian I like to watch. His name is Andy Huggins. He's looks like a very old man. And he sits down in a chair on stage and he says, you know, I started comedy 40 years ago because people told me it was a great way to meet chicks. We'll see.
Wait a minute. I saw that just recently.
Oh, he's hilarious. But the idea he's been doing it for 40 years, and he's like, you know, just getting started.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think a lot of this, at least during today's show, where you and I are having a little disagreement, it's just semantics, really.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well.
Technically, it's not semantics. Well, don't do that.
Yeah. No.
But you recently upgraded Synology.
Yeah.
Tell us about that experience.
Well, it's pretty simple. I did that on show. Just put the drive in, took the carriage out, left the thing running, took the empty carriage out, put a drive in it, put that carriage and drive back in, and then went into the interface on Synology and clicked through a couple of screens. I can't quite recite what they are. I think some kind of control panel and then storage, and then go to that new drive, and it recognizes that there's a new drive and gives me some choices of what I want to do with it. I wanted to add it to the array, RAID array, whatever its terminology was for that.
The pool.
The pool, yeah, and it told me that it was going to take. Well, no, it didn't tell me how long it was going to take, but I knew it was going to take multiple days, and I didn't pay attention as to when it was through, but I did check up on it once in a while. It took at least 2 days. And now I have the extra space, approximately the same amount of additional free space as the size of the drive that I was adding to it. So it was very simple. It was a 12 terabyte drive that now is about $150 more than what I paid for the other two a few months ago. So went up by $150 over a few months, so total $459, I think is what it was. But I needed more space, so the guy needs what the guy needs.
But it was relatively straightforward. I mean,
oh yeah, straightforward, easy. And I was making that point on the show. I said I didn't research really how to do this. I think I had a pretty good idea how to do it, and I went through and thought I knew what screen it would be on, and yeah, it worked pretty much similar to what I was anticipating. So just making the point that if you have some level of competence already dealing with computer stuff, it's not that hard to get through. And if you have any stumbling blocks, just go to your favorite AI and ask the question. And it's a very well-known environment via the internet, which means AI is going to be pretty good about answering it correctly. That's a little hint into things that I've learned about what AI is good about answering and what it's not good about answering.
And now that you've had some experience with this analogy now for a few months. It's been a year.
I think maybe, I don't know.
Have you thought of other solutions for customers that Synology will resolve for you?
Potentially, I do have a Synology in the 40 Station Law office, and I am using it. It is their primary data store, and it is performing backups of image backup of one of their workstations. And it is the Synology is being backed up to Magnus Box cloud backup. They have plenty of free space, and that's the reason why we put the Synology in there, is because their Dell servers that were already obsolete operating system were out of space, and we needed to get more space. And rather than staying in the Windows Server environment, I went to Synology. We have two programs that still need a server operating system, so I still have the old servers operational for that, and I haven't quite addressed the issue of what we're going to do with that, but it may be along the lines of getting a low-end Windows server to just serve as application servers. Those two applications are actually storing their data on the Synology. But the programs have to be hosted on a true Windows server. So as I was talking with my client about upgrading their systems, the first place that I went was proposing current market file server that would handle everything, their data and these programs, and up their security implementation. And when I began contemplating doing that, I was pretty sure that they were going to go along with it. What I didn't realize is that they were going through a change of ownership at the time, where the 4 senior partners were selling the business off to 2 junior partners, where those 2 junior partners are now the senior partners. And the other 4 that were bought out are still working for the company, except for one of them. And they are essentially employees now, except they still have a ownership financial interest, because the new owners are essentially paying off their purchase to the prior owners. So they are on thin margins, and they needed a more cost-efficient approach. So that's when we went with the Synology as an alternative.
One of the things I love about this line of work is when I have defeated a challenge. There's one of those moments where you get this kind of adrenaline, or I don't know, the chemical dopamine release from having solved a particularly difficult problem that is even difficult for you as a professional. Have you experienced any of those, or what would be your most recent experience where you were like elated as the result of finding the solution that you could share with us?
Well, two recently that involved the bureaucracy of a bank and the bureaucracy of Intuit. I have a client who owns and operates 8 businesses through QuickBooks. We've migrated one of the businesses to QuickBooks Online. The other we're keeping in QuickBooks. He has a QuickBooks subscription, already paying for that, but his computers are still on QuickBooks 2023 for the QuickBooks Pro desktop version. He doesn't want to migrate those to QuickBooks Online, so he's okay with continuing with the subscription. But QuickBooks Pro Desktop 2023 is no longer supported by Intuit. We have to upgrade those computers to the 2025 version, or they lose the functionality of several online services. And there may be other complications down the road. Not all of those companies use the online services, and I'm not fully up to speed on all 8 of the companies. It's possible none of them do, but it's, in my mind, it's not acceptable to stay on the old version, particularly since he's paying the subscription anyway. Well, we've got, in order to install the new version, when we open those company files, it's going to force an upgrade of those company files to the new version. In order to do that, you have to sign on with the primary admin account. Well, this company has had various different people serving the bookkeeper role, and the primary admin was under an email address that we no longer have access to. We no longer have access to that person. In one of those cases, we do have access to the person, but they don't have access to that email address that they used for that primary admin account. So we have to prove to Intuit that my client actually owns those businesses. And that is we have to upload documents to them for each of those companies, like incorporation papers, bylaws, statement of information, and he has to do a selfie with his driver's license and taking selfie video of himself. And then we wait a couple days to get the response back from QuickBooks, from Intuit, whether they agree that we own the company. Well, a couple of them have been denied. They don't tell us why. Their documentation for this process is really, it sucks. It's not good. And because it does, the profile names that Intuit has for these QuickBooks company files do not correlate to the file name of the QuickBooks file. And a lot of these companies have very, very similar names. So in order to apply for the primary admin takeover, we have to select the correct profile and associate it with that particular company file. And there's several pieces of information that are not obvious where we need to get them from. Well, after a few failures and a couple of successes, I finally got the thing figured out to where now we've got them all approved except for one. The one that's not approved is the one that we moved into QuickBooks Online. So I think the reason why it's not allowing it is because we're claiming that we no longer have access to the primary admin for that company file, but the primary admin for that company file is actually currently active with that email address in QuickBooks Online. However, when he tries to sign in to the QuickBooks Desktop Pro authentication server for that Intuit account, it doesn't work. So we've lost access to it, yet that is a person who is still with the company. And I think that's why Intuit is refusing it. So that was one that it's almost done. Another one is a credit card, Wells Fargo Bank credit card account that the employee has online access to 4 of the company checking accounts. Now, this is one of the junior partners that bought out the law office. He has access to the checking accounts, but he doesn't have online access to his credit card account. So we went through multiple different attempts trying to get this through. I got on the phone with Wells Fargo, and with that particular partner, and they identified who he is. Yeah, we believe who you are, but you don't have access rights to that credit card, even though the credit card is in his name. So then they also ask, what is the legal name of the company? So we tell them that. They said, no, that's not a match. It's a different company. And they wouldn't tell us what the company is. They wouldn't tell us who the owner names are that they did have. So then I went to one of the other former senior partners and went through the same process on the phone with him to the Wells Fargo agent. And he's not authorized either. He's not listed as an owner. And they said, well, you got to get one of the owners on the phone. Well, how do we do that if you don't tell us who it is? There has been a variety of changeovers. So I start listing off the top of my head the names of possible people that could have been listed as an owner. And I said, one of the names that I said, I thought, there's no way it's that one. It was a attorney who sold out quite a while ago, not with the company anymore. Turns out she was the only one that was authorized. And we didn't know this until we got to the end. The agent thought there was more than one. She didn't really know until we could get her deeper into the account. We had to answer questions correctly so that she could get into the account deeper. She didn't have access until we gave her the right answers. So I ran through the names and I got 2 names past the one that did hit. He said, no, wait, one of those others that you said. So backed up a little bit. Yes, it's that one. So I went to that attorney's home. Remember, she's no longer with the company. I called her and asked if she would help with it. She said, sure. So I went over to her home and we worked through it. And we also had to get a conference call with the actual attorney who holds the credit cards. So that's 4 people on a conference call, over an hour to get this thing resolved. And that had been several weeks in the process. So yeah, and I tell you what, my client, I could hear it in their voices that they were surprised, impressed that I could navigate through that and stay calm, because the people on like one of the things that they were saying, this on each call, he told the person that you have to stay on the line. Do you approve for this person to hear confidential information? And my client would say yes. Well, then they got a little bit further in their script, which requires them to ask the same question and get the same answer back, even though we've already been through that question. It is just so regimented and bureaucratic. I was in the same room with my clients in 2 of those calls, and we were just looking at each other just with all kinds of visual under the breath reactions while trying to staying calm and composed with these people
externally. So what you're talking about isn't, hey, I can't print, I can't access the network share. What you're talking about is a security issue. And because the hackers, I mean, there's millions. There used to just be a few thousand. Today, there's millions of hackers. And now it's hard to tell who's real from who's not real without all of these security steps in place to absolutely be certain that if you're making a change to who's going to have access to a credit card or a checking account and there's money at stake, it's understandable why a company would do this. And I think we agree, we need a better process than this. And they just nobody's come up with one to the best of my knowledge. So it requires a lot of patience. There's a lot of frustration. And it is something they call upon the techs quite often. I've lost my password. I don't have an authentication key. I don't know what that means. I can't get on the Wi-Fi. All of these security related events are starting to fall more and more under the purview of the computer guy, even though we don't necessarily deal with their finance. We don't necessarily deal with their credit card or their checking account. That's between them and the financial company. Quite often, the barrier with the financial company is exactly what you described. And that is an expansion of our job. I mean, can you recall having to do anything similar to this, let's say, in late 1990s?
No.
Wasn't part of the job.
Yeah, no.
And it's going to get worse, right? Because hackers realize how much. Look, my friend with the virus, the same virus my customers got 2 years ago. It's not going away. It's getting worse. And now, if you're a bank or an institution, and you're splitting up some property, whether it's a divorce personally, or if it's a merger of businesses, or somebody gets fired, this is an exact example of why it's important to take care of all that before they leave. But if they don't know because it's not documented, this is the reaction. Instead of being proactive, which they weren't, by now documenting this stuff in the future, it should be a little bit easier for them or for you to get it done quicker. Would you agree?
Yeah, and let me respond to Grish Labs. Dealing with QuickBooks, there's a line when this is no longer an IT issue. I think that I do a lot of things that a lot of IT techs would not venture into. And I actually thrive on that kind of stuff. And I make a lot of money doing that kind of stuff and create a lot of client loyalty with that. So it is quite justifiable for either the Intuit situation or the bank situation to put that back on the client and say, hey, that's outside of my realm. I do computers. The banking, your relationship with maybe the banking, it's more likely to distance from an IT person than the Intuit. But even that, you could take the approach that hey, you messed this up. We're just going to have to start over from scratch. There's other ways to deal with these issues without trying to do the recovery. But I feel that I like it. I see Grish now saying he'll do anything as long as they pay. And yeah, I'm very much in that same boat. And it builds, my experience is it builds more client loyalty. And back on something that, Carey, you were mentioning earlier, I don't have to toot my horn. I have my clients tooting my horn after pulling something off like this. They will have very complimentary things to say about me. I don't have to say it myself, and I'm so that there was another.
Are your clients here right now?
Am I what?
Are your clients in our chat room?
No, but
so there's nobody in the chat room that's your client that's tooting your horn. So your horn is not getting tooted.
Well, but I tell that on my show. I have said that. I have told my audience that before. So there's a pushback on your tease.
You know, when your audience is here tooting your horn, that's one thing. When they're not here, there's nobody to toot your horn. That's all. I don't see my horn being tooted.
I love your attitude. I don't think they want to.
I love your attitude. And by the way, they're the only people that truly matter to your business. They're the ones that keep you in business. Yeah. I can't pay my bills because someone said, hey, I believe in you and you're a great guy. Let me see if I can pay my electric bill with that. You know, it doesn't work. At the end of the day, when you get paid, and especially when the paycheck also involves a thank you, boy, that means the world to me personally. Just having both the ability that somebody sees value in what I offer, because any stranger on the street can tell me I'm worthless. That's the laziest thing anybody could possibly do. It's simple and thoughtless. But when somebody supports you, and we need more of this in society, by the way, we need more people back in the day, if you saw somebody struggling, you'd offer to help. That's just what we did. Today, if you see somebody struggling, you pull out your camera and you film it and you say, look at this idiot. What a sad state that society has moved into. And I set an example, I lead by example by showing here's how we support. And I do my best. I'm not perfect at it, but I like to think if I was in that person's position, how would I want somebody to respond to me? Give what you get, let karma take care of itself. And you can't force you can't force your values on other people, but you can absolutely lead and demonstrate and hope it inspires them, because the end results you get are far more rewarding than insulting somebody or degrading anybody personally. So anyway, that's my view on that. But regardless, you know, whether or not you determine this is an IT issue or not is up to the IT provider. That's not up to, so you might do work I don't do. In fact, I know you do. You do work as an IT person that I won't do. I probably do work as an IT person that you won't do. Maybe you don't have interest in it, or maybe it's not something you want to be involved in. Whatever the reasons are, that's the beauty of being self-employed. Anybody self-employed can define their definition of their business. If somebody walks into a restaurant and says, can I get a hot dog? And you say, we don't serve hot dogs. Well, then you're not a restaurant. That's not how it works. I mean, they can live in this delusion, but there's nothing a business owner loves more than having somebody who's not even a customer tell you how you should be running your business. We love that. That's sarcasm. I think Doug I think Doug's taking a call. So
not really.
No.
I just connected remote to a client's computer. I'm going to do a couple clicks over here as we're talking.
All right, I'm gonna go full screen here for a minute so you can do what you need to do.
All right.
And just speak up. I'll hear you and I'll bring you back on.
Okay.
Because I want to elaborate a little bit on these scenarios, these technicals. As an IT provider, what your clients may ask you to do may be something you're willing to do, and they may be something you're unwilling to do. When you're working for somebody as a tech, right? When I was working at Intel, I did whatever they told me to do. Didn't matter if I didn't want to do it. They could say, well, if you don't want to do it, you can just go ahead and pack your things and go home, because we don't want to pay you. When you're self-employed, you have the power to say, I don't want to do that, find somebody else. Or you could, instead of saying, I don't do that, if you're, in my opinion, really good at business, you'll find your client somebody else to do that you can refer and bill a commission on, or get a kickback from the other person for providing business to them. That's a good way to build your business on things you don't do. If somebody said to me, do you know anybody that can fix the ice maker in my refrigerator? And I know a person, maybe a friend of mine fixes appliances. And I say to maybe I do it as a favor, but the safest route as a business owner is to say, I don't know, because if you're not going to make any money on it and the job goes sideways and your friend screws it up, you'll often get the blame, even though you didn't make any money from it. So if you're going to accept the potential blame, at least have a paycheck involved in it. I had a customer that wanted about 300 network line drops in a new building that was 2 stories tall. It was too big of a job for me. And rather than just tell the customer to take it somewhere else, I knew a guy whose business was just doing network drops. That's all he did for phones and networks. And I called him and I explained the situation to him. And I said, I want to hire you. I don't want the customer to hire you. I want to hire you. So can you give me an estimate? I'll take you over there to the building. You can survey it with me. I'll show you where we want the drops. You give me a quote. Okay. I tell the customer, I'm going to take a look at the building on Saturday with my guys, and we're going to build you a quote. This was a choice, by the way, a choice to make money or a choice to give money away. But what wasn't a choice was to make a referral, for which if the job is not done well or there's a problem, that it's my fault for giving them the referral, right? I don't want any role in that unless I'm being compensated for taking on that potential blame. So I go there, and so this is how I handled it. We go there, he writes me a quote, I take his quote, and I look at it, I build my own quote with how much money is it worth to me to be this liaison, this middleman. And I present that to the customer. Customer gives it the green light. So I give the client, my customer or my vendor, the green light. And I tell them, I want to know when you're there, and I want to know when you're done, and I want to inspect it as you're going along. This isn't a one-day job. So when you guys start this work, I don't need to sit there and watch you. Okay. I just want to know when you're done for the day. Would you let me know before you leave? I want to go over it with you. Show me what you did today. Well, we did this, we did this, we did this. Great. Okay. When you coming back? Tomorrow. Great. Then I fire off an email to the customer. Hey, here's what we did today. We've got more work to do. We'll be back tomorrow. We're going to start at this time. And again, we're going to repeat. Before you wrap up for the day, I need to come look. You show me what you've done today. Are we done? Yes, we're done. All the lines have been tested. Yeah, we verified all the lines have been tested. So then I go home, I write the email to the customer. Everything's good to go. All your drywall can go up now. All the lines have been tested. And here's your invoice. Customer pays me the invoice, and I pay the person who did the work, that company, and I have the leftover for me. Sort of like when I was a kid and I delivered the newspaper, I paid for 50 newspapers, delivered them to 50 houses, and then I would go collect once a week, and I would pay for those 50 newspapers with the money I collected, and what was left over was my profit. It's no different. It's no different. And so instead of saying, well, that's not IT, I think a smarter business person could see that as an opportunity to expand the services that they're offering without having to do much other than paperwork and a couple of phone calls. But you don't have to do that if you don't want to. And I think that's the point of it. And it's the beauty of being self-employed is to have that control, but you're also having that responsibility. And what responsibilities you're willing to take on and how much money they'd have to pay you for that to be worth it to you is between you and them. You guys work that out. Or it's just between you if you don't even want to entertain it. But when I was working at Intel, it's you will do this and you will do that and you will do these things, or we're just not going to pay you and you can just go ahead and pack your things and go home. And then I have to figure out how I'm going to pay my bills. So, you know, that was part of the attraction for me to be able to be self-employed and have a little bit more understanding of why I was doing what I was being told to do, because some of it made no sense, at least not to me in the role I played in the company. Maybe further up in the company, if I had a higher up role, I would have understood it. And that really got under my skin sometime, that I felt like I was doing a lot of unnecessary work. And their attitude was, what difference does it make, Carey? You're still getting paid the same. So just do the work and shut up. And then eventually that's where I just said, okay, I just need to go out on my own, because if I'm just doing things to do them and they don't really have any difference in the world, the money's less important to me. I need to be fulfilled that I've done something well and paid for it. Did you take care of your business there, Doug? Or are you still working on it?
I did, but he's got another question. So
that's all right, because there's something else I want to talk about. So you go ahead. Right. Quad 9. There was a question in the chat room. Does Quad 9 work on any router? It should, yes. And one easy way to the gist of it is you log into your router, if you know how to do that, and you'll go to where your LAN settings are. And your LAN settings will determine what your starting IP address is, 192.168, whatever, 10.0. Okay, and then it'll say what your DNS server's on. And it might just say, grab the DNS automatically from the ISP. And you just change the DNS. You can leave everything else alone. Just go to change the DNS. And on the primary, 9.9.9.9. And then the secondary, you could use what I mistakenly said was Cloudflare is Google. I just noticed on Doug's screen was 8.8.8.8. I think Cloudflare is 4.4.4.4. But anyway, however you want to do that, and then you may need to reboot the router when it's done, and you may need to reboot the computers to be reassigned updated IP addresses, or run an IP config command, release and renew, something like that, or just the next time you restart the computer, it'll take effect. But if you want to know specifically, step by step, what to click on, then what you would do is open up something like gemini.google.com, for example. Say, I have a Netgear model XYZ router. Please explain to me step by step how I can change the DNS to 9.9.9.9. And it will walk you through step by step for your specific model of router. It's that easy. So the general steps are the same regardless of what router it is. However, whether or not you choose to do that through a phone app, or I always like to use the web interface through a browser. The process of where it's located or how it's laid out within the router varies from model to model. And while you're in there, I would strongly encourage you to check to ensure you have the latest firmware on your router. Now, if your router is provided by your ISP, you may be locked out of it, just FYI. But typically, if your router is part of your modem, the ISP allows you to go in there and change your SSID and password. And typically, if they allow that, they also will allow you to change your IP range that's on your local network from, let's say it's set to a 10.0.0, and you want to change it to 192.168. They generally do allow that, and that's right where the DNS is, in that same location. So that's where you're going to look for it. But an AI chatbot, and as Doug mentioned, when we talk about this technical stuff and you hear about the inaccuracy of AI, where AI is highly accurate, by comparison anyway, is anything dealing with computers. For obvious reasons, it's pretty well dead on for most computer questions or technical questions. For everything else, it could be a little iffy. The issue of AI hallucinating a lot of that has gone away. Like the evolvement of AI is happening at a very quick pace. So the kind of issues that people were having with, let's say, Chat GPT 3.5, what is Chat GPT now, 5.4 or 5? Anyway, those issues have mostly been resolved, or at least made about 80% better and far less likely to occur. And as they continue to evolve the AI, it's just getting better and better and better. So it's not perfect, but then neither are people. And people hallucinate too. So I think at this point, when it comes to looking for technical information, I think I can trust AI a lot better than I can trust most people, me personally. Unless you know that person and you know their history, that's a different story. But if you're just looking at answers on Reddit and stuff, it's kind of a coin toss which way it's going to go. And if you point out an error in AI and you let the AI know it made an error, that helps make it better in the future. How you doing, Doug?
I'm good. I'm all
Got
back.
everything resolved?
Yeah, I'll give a little story. It was a client in the Netherlands. He's about to go to bed. He was very anxious to get this little thing fixed. He couldn't figure out how to get a page number in Microsoft Word because the page number button was grayed out. Turned out it was grayed out because he was in the view mode of web view rather than print view. And web view means it's just one continuous sheet of paper, so there's no pages. So therefore the page number button is grayed out in Microsoft Word. So it's fixed. He can go to bed now.
I had a similar problem to that. Customer said, so it was an Adobe PDF file. I'm trying to remember what the problem was. And there was an option that they must have inadvertently changed. They just didn't realize they changed it. So when you're Adobe, when you're in a PDF with Adobe Reader or Adobe Acrobat, and you say print, it says what printer, what pages, right, all that stuff. And right at the bottom, can't remember what it said, but there was a little box. And all I had to do was drop down and then click the option there, which is how it was apparently set by default. And I've never seen the problem because no one's ever changed it. And they didn't realize they changed it, but I promise you it didn't change itself. And as soon as I set it back, the problem went away. And I think they suffered with this problem for 3 days. They'd send the PDF to a different computer and print to it and walk over there. And I was initially thrown by it. And I'm like, okay, I'm logging into other computers and I'm saying, if this one works fine and this one doesn't work, let's take a look at, side by side, what's different. And eventually I saw that little box. It's way down, at the very bottom. And I can't remember what the issue was now, but it was just putting it back apparently the way it was. But, I'm sure you've seen that countless times where customers have clicked on things. They have no idea. They just go, I didn't click it, but somebody did. Didn't do it by itself.
A little twist on that is I have seen times when they are dealing with a document that somebody else created. It was sent to them or something. And somehow that document had some other setting that they were not acquainted with. So that was a situation where they didn't make the change themselves, but they kind of inherited it from someone else.
Yeah. Or, we have this new Windows security feature that announcements don't really go out. People just call, say, I can't preview my PDF files anymore. And that's called Mark of the Web. And man, there's such a thorn in my side to deal with this. I get why it's there. I understand it. I don't condone it, but I understand it. Have you had to deal with any of the Mark of the Web issues regarding file previews?
Yes, and that was a situation where the file was stored on another computer that was in the office, on the peer-to-peer server. And there was some Windows update that changed the way that operates. And when they were trying to use File Explorer to look through PDF files, they didn't want to open each one. They wanted to have the preview window open so that they could verify the files that they wanted or be able to scan through them easier. And she insisted that this used to work. Now it doesn't work. And it did turn out to be some Windows update related to security that it was, I don't remember the term mark of the web being involved in that, but that could have been part of that research, and that term just passed through my awareness. But her local PDF files, she could still do the preview mode in File Explorer. So this was a big workflow problem to her because she was doing that quite a lot as her way to find documents. And there was one solution that was a little bit of a nuisance, but I wound up finding the right solution, and I kind of want to say that it was a registry entry. Sounds like that would be likely, and I think that's what it was, but it took a little while to get to it. But it was not a change that she had made. It was indeed a Windows update that implemented higher level of security for PDF files that are not on the local drive.
It would also affect Microsoft Office files as well, like doc files, docx, Excel.
Probably. I don't think. You know what? Maybe that was part of it. I seem to remember it was PDF for her, but
well, that may be all she was using it for. And my client,
she might not have been doing document files that way.
My client was the exact same phone call. I don't want to open every one of these. I'm trying to find it. This is how we've always done it before. Why doesn't it work today? Right. And there's about 3 different solutions for it. And if you go to Gemini and you say, how can I get past mark of the web? You can individually right click on each file and uncheck the box, which takes forever. This client that I have is getting documents constantly, right? So I go to the NAS and I just issue a command to go through every file on the NAS to disable the mark of the web, regardless if it has it or not. But after a week, they've got more files on the net. So then you can go in the registry and you can delete it in the registry, but then they no longer have that protection anymore. So yeah, again, these are all results of responses to hackers that are successfully infecting computers simply through previewing. Now, none of my clients have ever had that type of an infection. So I feel pretty confident about just turn it off. We never needed it before. But should they get an infection because we've disabled it, that's partly on them for not knowing better and partly on me for disabling the feature. And that's just part of the accountability that goes with, getting paid to do this job. Did we miss any questions in the chat room? Does anybody have any questions? We have about 20 minutes left of the show here, and we certainly love interacting with you guys. I'm going to scroll through, and Doug will do the same, and we'll see if either one of us finds anything. And while we're looking, it's also a great time to reach out to us while we're paying attention in here to see if there's anything we can help or guide you with.
For those that are watching on my channel, if you're familiar with the topic, codes and such, I don't have OBS open, but I think that works. I'd like somebody to name a topic for me so I can see if that feature works while we're doing StreamYard. Just make something up. Okay.
Robert Jones was asking what he can do to protect himself if I have electronics affecting my health, being around electronics. I think the simple answer is to avoid being around electronics. That's overly simplistic. I will say that we're not doctors. I'm not aware of any actual real health issue that exists in reality regarding electronics. And that's why I'm not a doctor. And I would advise you to ask a qualified doctor if that's real, and if so, what they recommend. just scrolling backwards to look about some of the comments of our previous discussion or earlier discussion regarding QuickBooks. I see some discussion about Zoom, which we haven't really talked about.
Well, I know something might be interesting. You had asked Marv B if he was using AI for scripting. I'm doing a lot of that.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Can you give us an example?
Multiple projects in the fire right now. So this one is related to the credit card issue. The law office has staff members using this particular credit card to pay for court filings and for medical records requests from various different vendors. And before I began this project, the process for getting those cost numbers recorded in the QuickBooks, the way that it was working is that the bookkeeper would receive the physical bank's credit card statement. She would scan it and then send it by email to all the staff members who are using it. They were expected to print it out, write the 4-digit case number for each charge that they were responsible for, and in some cases, the first name of the plaintiff if there were multiple plaintiffs on the case for who it should be charged to. And then those physical copies would go back to the bookkeeper. She would go into QuickBooks and manually make an entry for each one of them. So I'm using Gemini to create a Python script where the Python script actually, some of the employees would send emails to the bookkeeper about the expenses that they charge. So there were two ways that the accounting was happening: by handwriting on the statements from multiple people and from sending the emails. So what I did is this Python script will take a downloaded statement from the from the online filing source, or it can actually download a PDF. It has all the charges, has a code that can associate to the credit card, and has a code that can associate to the internal case number. And the Python script has access to a brand new email account that I set up, and I gave Python the app credentials to that account. So Python code can actually look at those emails without us downloading or giving it access. It has a code that is only usable by that app that I wrote through the Python script. So it can extract the information from those emails. And so it takes the information from the emails, it takes the information from the online vendor's downloaded PDF file, merges them together, and then associates them to each charge on the credit card statement, and then compares those to an Excel worksheet that has all of the codes that we exported from QuickBooks to give all of the account codes for each of those case numbers, merges that into an IIF file. So what the bookkeeper winds up doing is importing an IIF file. It's import interchange format, something like that. It's a QuickBooks designation. They import that, and it just puts in a journal entry that enters all of those charges for her. So it takes away the workload from the employees marking up that statement. And each time they mark up that statement, they don't know that off their head, right? They got to go look back on their records to figure out what it was for. So it's time consuming for the staff members, time consuming for the bookkeeper, and this is eliminating a whole boatload of work. And I would not have pursued this project without having decent coding performance from Gemini. So that is one example. That's one example. And I'll take a shorter on the other ones. I am producing a video book for an uncle of mine on his memoirs of his work as a Codex, I think, is part of what we're doing. maybe. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but I think that's part of it. Mike. Mike's Unboxing. Hi. But anyway, producing a video book of his memoirs as a intelligence officer during the Vietnam era. Let's see. Oh, I'm doing some all of this chat, my custom chat room stuff that I bring up during my show was all coding created by Gemini. It uses Python and it uses StreamerBot C# code. There's even some batch files in there. There's also some PowerShell scripting involved in that. Let's see, there's another one that is escaping me. Oh, my website. I'm doing some scripting so that I can get AI, and this is already partially functional. I already have one or two stories on the LiveWindowsTraining.com website that came from recent shows where I have AI generated blog post that I review and clean up a little bit, didn't take much, that is destined to help perhaps bring more audience to my YouTube shows, to where it will take very little time commitment from me to generate 2 or 3 blog posts out of every one of my Saturday shows regarding topics that we deal with. So that's all scripting from created from Gemini, and it actually yeah, here's another one coming up. That one for the blog post, it actually the script itself actually has authentication codes to automatically upload that content to my website. The part that I described about video production for my uncle's memoirs, intelligence officer during Vietnam era, what that does is that starts with his clumsily written email, creates a audio podcast with 2 podcasters, and then generates a video file out of that automatically. I trigger the automation, but it creates a video file from a text-based and audio webcast and uploads it to my YouTube channel that I'm creating for that purpose. So very complex in what it can do with very little human intervention when that's fully up and running, which it's very close. It's the only reason why it's not public right now is because I was experimenting with the video portion of it. I had AI generate various images for the 45-minute long podcast to be the visuals for that. And I was just struggling with those, just aren't good enough. For example, there's one scene where my uncle and a colleague of his, my uncle at that time was a major, and his fellow serviceman that was with him was a level up, I think, from him. They arrived in Vietnam, I think it was, and the story goes that they got out of the plane, go to this folding card table that they were supposed to register at. And it was the 20-something kid at the table didn't have any information about them. So the friend said, oh, well, we're with detachment such and such, which was totally made up. Sometimes the service people, they will pull gags because he just wanted to go to the bar that was nearby. So anyway, I was asking it to give us a visual for that. Well, it came up with a visual that showed a 4-star general and a 3-star general at this registration table. I couldn't use that. It just wasn't a lot of the images were really good images, but they just weren't quite on point. And I find it difficult to get it to the AI systems to edit the images for changes the way I want them to. Yeah, there's some edits that they just don't come out right. And it was going to take, it wasn't feasible to have to go edit all the images. I wanted a thing where I could just create images to go with this story. Boom, they're all reasonable, and produce it. I don't want to spend hours and hours on each episode. So I scaled back a little bit. The visuals are going to be much more simple.
Are you paying for any of that?
Am I paying for it? No.
For the image creation, or you say if it creates an animation? Like I know I can create animations, but they're 6 seconds long. You're able to create animations for a 45-minute podcast, and it's free?
Not animations. What I was creating, it's through Python. There's a particular engine capability that it can use that can take images that I give it. I think it can even take videos and string them together, but it's not, that Python code is not creating the images. So the images I was handing to that Python script, I was creating in Notebook LM, which is big brother to Gemini. What I'm using for my little 6-second or however long it is, the little video clips that I sometimes use at the beginning of my show that starts from my thumbnail image and then does an animation for a few seconds of that I create through Gemini.
So did I misunderstand that you were making animations of the 45-minute podcast? It's not a straight through 45-minute animation of two people talking.
No, what I'm doing, I could, but I'm not. But that's just more complicated than I want to do. If I were to create a video somewhere else, now actually, let me backtrack that a little bit. You're asking if I am generating 45-minute long video. Well, yeah. Notebook LM has a capability of generating videos based off of text.
Notebook LM is a paid product?
Well, I have Google for Workplaces, and I think there's an add-on that I paid for Gemini. So I have a pro version of Gemini, and I think that includes Notebook LM. Yeah, it says Pro on my Notebook LM. So, but it does a really good podcast where there's a male and female that they will take the original text and talk about that original text in a way that my family has found far more engaging and entertaining than my uncle's original writing. Mm-hmm. And that statement comes from him as well. So this is a fun project that I'm working on with Gemini and the Python coding and scripting.
Those are great examples. You know, I'm somebody, I really don't like coding. It's something I did very early on, back in the DOS days when everything was coding. Just to use a computer, it was coding. Yeah. And I dipped my toe in it, and I would eventually kind of give up on learning the languages, and instead just kind of focus on batch files. And that actually won me an award at Intel where I created a company-wide, a solution to a company-wide bad update that affected every Intel location around the world. And it was day one of my job. They said, welcome to Intel. Here's your challenge today. And they gave me a stack of paperwork to follow a process that affected anybody with a laptop, which at that time in the 90s, the mid 90s, were only upper end executives. So you don't want to screw up on your first day, no pressure. And so what you need to do, along with every tech at every Intel campus, I was the laptop tech for the Chandler location, but they have locations in Ireland and Israel and California, around the world. And their plan was give this to the IT department, let them handle it. And I said, well, you've already got it really well documented in all these pages. And I'm flipping through the pages, click here, do this. If there's this, then do this. I could write, why don't you script it? And they go, what do you mean? So I wrote, day one, I started coding, exactly translating what the pages were having us do, and then testing it. And by the end of the day, it was done. That was day one. And I gave it to the person I reported to at Intel, which isn't who I was working for. And they sent it up the chain of command and they tested it. At the end of the day, the guy who put me into that position, who was very skeptical of me, he didn't like me. Oh, he was my best friend. He was all teeth and it was a great job you did today. I was like, wow. I'm going to toot my own horn because there's nobody to toot it. It's one of those stories. I don't know anybody who could tell it. But I was very proud of what I had done that day. And that was about the last time I really coded anything of any depth. Today, when I have to code anything, it feels like I'm sticking bamboo under my fingernails. It's not for me. But I love hearing your stories and that interests you and you enjoy it. You're doing it for fun, for an uncle or for your family, just to help. And to me, it's like, helping somebody move. Some people might be like, yeah, I get the exercise and the lifting. And I'm like, no, sorry, it's not something I enjoy. That's why people get paid to do that. But I wanted to bring up one final thing here since we're running out of time. And that is that since Windows updates came out yesterday, Microsoft has been updating the Windows Media Installer every month now. I don't know if you know this, but for anybody who doesn't, one difference between Doug and I is my clients have all different machines. I don't necessarily have clients that have the same machines that I can just clone. So I'm very comfortable with just doing a fresh install, put the drivers on it, put the software back on. To me, it's no big deal. And I actually prefer that, having that kind of granular control for my personality. Although I wouldn't hesitate to do it Doug's way if two systems were identical. I mean, why work harder? You know what I mean? But one of the issues, of course, is after installing Windows 11, going through all the Windows updates. So now instead, what I do, and Microsoft only started this around February of this year, I will go to the website. I'll just download Windows 11 as the search, and you'll see Microsoft's website come up for downloading Windows 11. And it says download the Windows 11 Media Creation Tool. And I choose that option and it downloads it. You cannot use the download from last month. It's hard-coded into the software, and the website doesn't tell you that it's been updated. There's no versioning. You just have to check it. And so what I'll do, about 2 days after Patch Tuesday, at some point, Microsoft updates the installer. It could already be done for all I know. I haven't checked it. So what I do is because Microsoft doesn't put any sort of versioning on the website to tell you there's been an update, you have to download it. So I go to the Windows Media Creation Tool. I say, I want Windows 11 in English as an ISO. It says, do you want to make a USB or you want to make an ISO? I say, make it an ISO. It downloads it. It saves it as an ISO. I mount the ISO, and there's a DISM command you run to just look at it and tell me what version of Windows it is. It's 26200.8457. Okay, that's last month. This month after the updates, it's like, I don't know, it's a bigger number, right? It'll always be a bigger number. So I'm not causing any harm by going and checking, right? It's an 8 gig download. I have a fast connection, 6 gigs, and it doesn't take very long. So I'll wait till Thursday and I'll check it. When I check it on Thursday, it'll probably say the current Windows version, which will be 26.200 dot. Let me just check what's on mine. 8875. So that should come up as 8875, meaning I now have all the Windows updates in the installer right out of the gate as of whatever day I'm checking it. And so this is now my monthly routine. And then I use Rufus, of course, to then take the ISO and overwrite my Windows 11 installation USB drive so that it doesn't require the Microsoft Online account, and it will not enable any encryption should I choose to install Windows 11 Home. And then I only have to grab any updates that have come out within the last time I made the media, the last big update. In other words,
Sure.
these updates are taking a while to download and install, especially last month and this month. The preview update, I guess, is the same update I'm complaining about, where the download is just slow, and then the install wants to reboot the computer 3 times. Well, imagine if that was already on your flash drive. So the minute you installed it, you already got the updates and you didn't have to waste any time. Now you're just going to get the antivirus definitions and things like that, or any other updates that come out since the last time there was a patch Tuesday. So it saves me a lot of time. So this is just an FYI for the viewers that if you want to do a fresh, clean install of Windows 11, you can use old media if you want to. But it's free to just download the update media. You must, again, download the new media creation tool, even though it looks exactly the same. They hard code it into it. And then that, if you use an old media creation tool, you'll get the version of Windows that was hard coded into it. So if you get the new media creation tool, you get the new version of Windows that's hard coded into it. And Microsoft, this is what gets under my skin, they should tell you on the website what version of the media creation tool, but they don't. So you just have to be diligent about it. And that'll probably be in effect by Thursday. And then I'm good again until second Tuesday of next month, and around the wheel goes. But I'm so delighted Microsoft has started doing this now, because I'll tell you what, the longer you go between updating your media installation, your installation media for Windows, the more updates you have to sit and wait through. And that's something, even you with cloning, you're going to deal with that, where if your clone is 6 months old, but you don't want to install Windows and the drivers, it's too much work. Instead, you're just going to be sitting waiting for 6 months of updates to download and install. No?
Yeah, no, not when I'm cloning from one of the other active currently. In use computers.
You're not using an old cloned image.
No.
I see. That solves that problem.
Yeah.
So just an FYI. So listen, this was a last minute thing. I just have this temporary access to StreamYard, and I wanted to squeeze as much out of it as I could. I thought, we've been having a lot of guests on lately. That's why. And I thought, let's reach out to Doug, see if he's available. Turns out he was, obviously. And thank you, Doug, for joining us today. I really enjoy having you here.
Great.
And
Loved it.
And the sharing your perspective on things. I respect what you do. I may not want to do it myself, or I might choose to do it another way, but in no way am I implying you're doing anything wrong. I certainly don't want that to come across. And I want the viewers to know that. And I want the viewers to know that they might align more with your processes, or they might align more with my processes, or they might just say, you're both wrong and I do it a totally different way.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's okay.
Yeah. So unless you're working for a company where everybody must follow the same processes, you know what I'm saying? Like, then you don't have a choice. But I love having choices. I think it's great. Back in the 70s, when Burger King had this innovative idea to let you tell them how you want your burger, have it your way. That wasn't the way it used to be. It was, this is how we serve it. If you didn't want the pickles and the lettuce, take them off yourself. So Burger King had this innovative idea that, hold the pickles, hold the lettuce, special orders, don't upset us, have it your way. And I just love choices. And I don't mean to force any of my choices onto others. I just want to express them.
Good.
All right. Well, for folks who want to watch more of Doug Bett's content, every Saturday he is live for about 2 hours, sometimes a little longer. He typically sticks with something until he gets it solved, and a variety of topics, a lot of live diagnostic and repair, and demonstrating, pulling back the curtain to show you how he's doing it. You're not going to find that a lot these days with certainly not with enthusiasts, with regards to dealing with real customers and real problems, with real techs showing you that we don't know everything. Even if we did, how would we remember it? So we often have to go back and refer to other things. What other things are we referring to? Doug has his reference point, which tends to be Gemini. I have my reference point, which also right now today tends to, ask me 3 months ago, it was Grok. Okay, I don't rely on Grok anywhere. Now I'm a Gemini guy, but I don't pay for it. I don't use it as much as Doug does. But boy, I'll tell you, it has really helped me remember a lot of things that I haven't used in a long time. And I'm like, what's the search word? How would I do this? And I literally say that to Gemini, and it says, oh, do you mean this? And I'm like, yeah, that's what I knew it, but I forgot. And then other times, like turning off that annoying Windows, finish setting up your computer. I asked Gemini, I said, how do I get rid of this annoying? Let me tell you how this happened. Last night, Mara gets the Tuesday update, and her computer reboots, and it comes up with this screen. And if you're not careful with how you answer the questions, you might accidentally restore default settings to your browser, your search engine. It's really, really annoying. Then it wants you to create a Microsoft account and how important that is. And Mara's cursing. What is this BS? I go, hold on. Let me, don't just go through that quickly, because you might be changing some settings. And we went through it, and I thought, how can we prevent, this never occurred to me before, by the way. How can we just prevent that from coming up to begin with? So I asked Gemini, there's a screen that pops up on Windows boot sometimes. I don't know when it happens, but it typically happens after a big Windows update that says finish setting up your PC. Is there a way to turn that off? And Gemini goes, yeah, do this, do this, do this. Is there anything else I can help you with? It's like, I got to document this. People need to know this. And of course, it also, a Google search will show you discussions 2 or 3 years ago where people were talking to each other in forums like Reddit, but I just never knew to look it up. It never occurred to me you could turn that off. And so I was so excited. I thought, well, it can't just be me, right? Other people might have the same conclusion. I just deal with it. And believe me, it's turned off every system I work on. I've never met anybody who said, no, I like that, leave it on there. Never once in my life have I met one single individual that wants that says, oh, please leave that alone. I want to see that. So I feel it's pretty safe to add to the optimizer as a default setting, but people will still be able to alter it if they choose to. I would love to meet somebody who wanted that. There's some things Microsoft does that are almost universally despised by the consumer, but stuff like that I feel is a safe and authorized change to make that won't have side effects in the future. So just a quick little tip there for our viewers. And again, pulling back the curtain on how I got there. That's what Doug does every Saturday on his podcast, or his videos here on YouTube, and very interactive with his audience, as he's been always is in his videos. So if you enjoy my content and you've not watched Doug, you should be watching him. And he's broadcasting in a time when I'm not, so you don't have to choose between us. And I don't know, any final words, Doug?
No. Well, I'll just Mike's unboxing. I will check up on what you're saying there about codecs, but I'm not. It says for better and accurate results are far better and accurate. I don't. That's not my complaint area with coding with Gemini. So, I will look into that. So thanks for the tip.
Yeah, I've never heard of it either, but I'm sure Gemini can answer your question about codecs.
when I said I thought I might be using it, actually I remember now it's regex. Regex is used to extract information, data or text from the emails and from the statements. So that was a different thing. But codex, that sounds like kind of a generic term. Is that enough to
No, depending on the context, codex generally refers to one of two things, and I'm reading the AI overview. It's a powerful AI coding assistant developed by OpenAI or an ancient type of manuscript. So I think he's referring to OpenAI. Codex is an AI-powered software engineering agent. Unlike general-purpose chatbots, Codex is designed to work directly on files, handle repeatable workflows, write features, and fix bugs.
Okay. Well, I just
Mike's
started
unboxing, another great source for tech content, real working individuals that also have YouTube channels. Mike's unboxing usually starts his show late at night, which typically overlaps with the end of your show. So usually when your show ends, I jump over to his show.
Yeah, I was aware of that. That this comes on around the time that I end my show, I think.
Yeah, and so you can just jump from Doug's show right into Mike's show. Again, very live interaction with the host, and also real world tech that he showcases in product reviews. And then on Sunday, I'm usually back. So we could keep you pretty distracted for a while.
Yeah.
And it's all free. So that's going to wrap it up for us today. Doug, thank you again. Always a pleasure having you here.
Same here.
Appreciate the last minute availability.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, everyone, we're going to wrap it up. So on behalf of Doug Betts and myself, all the links as a reminder to Doug Betts' channel, as well as everything we've talked about in the show, are in the video notes below today's video. Thanks to Mara, of course, for all the work she does behind the scenes, creating the thumbnails and setting up our video description. Thanks to our friend Buster in Edinburgh, Scotland, for his contribution of an Amazon gift card in lieu of a super chat prior to today's show. Thank you, as always, Buster. We hope you're feeling well. He's probably in bed right now. It's probably close to midnight over there in Scotland. And to everybody joining us in the chat, to all of our members, thank you guys. You're the reason we're here and we exist, and we can't thank you enough for it. Thank you so much for watching. I will see everybody back here on Friday. Until then, bye for now.